Welcome to the Pod People cast. Today we have another write-in story to share with you, of an eerie double premonition, and hope you will enjoy it. Dear Pod People, I hope you will be able to use my story in an upcoming segment. Thank you. Katie. Storms. They have always frightened me. Growing up in the Great Plains region, they can become intense quickly. As a small child, I would hide under my bed, and my dad would sit on the floor by me and tell me not to fear them. He would stay with me until I climbed out from under my bed and onto his lap. "See, nothing to be afraid of," he would say. "It's just the angels playing." And then Daddy's little girl was calm again. All was good. But today there were no storms. It was a warm August morning, and the sun was shining with not a cloud in the sky. My dad had been in the hospital, and I visited him every day. My time with him was over the lunch hour. I had helped care for him for several weeks earlier while he was sick. But today was going to be a joyous visit, as I had found out he would be released from the hospital within a few days. I was at my aunt's house waiting for my boyfriend to pick me up when he finished work. I was 16 years old, and did not have my license yet. My boyfriend called me to tell me he was going to be a little late getting off from work, but would be there to pick me up as soon as possible. "Just hurry," I told him. I sat down to talk with my aunt. I commented how cloudy it was getting outside. I watched at the window as dark black clouds came rolling in, accompanied with wind. The lightning shot from the clouds with long loud booms of thunder. Rain started pelting out of the clouds. With each bolt of lightning and clap of thunder, the rain became more intense. I went to the front door and went outside. I ran to the middle of the front lawn. The rain soaked me immediately. "Come inside," my aunt instructed. I just stood there. Then the only response I could make to her was that my dad had just died. She stood at the door looking at me in disbelief. The wind blew, and wrapped around me like a gentle embrace. The rain was warm and cleansing. I was not afraid. I knew this was my dad's storm. His energy. He came to me. My aunt yelled again to come in, and that the phone was ringing. She left the doorway to answer the phone. The wind grew softer, and the rain lighter. I stood in the middle of the lawn, drenched. My boyfriend pulled into the driveway, and looking bewildered, he escorted me inside as he asked me what was going on. Once inside, my aunt came up to me and said, "Honey, that was the hospital. I'm sorry, but your daddy just died." She tried to hug me, and I just pulled away. I could feel my boyfriend's hand on my shoulder. But I just wanted to be alone with my thoughts. I did not break down crying because I needed to process what had just happened. Several days went by and I recounted to others the events of that day. My uncle had told my mom that prior to my dad passing, he had stopped at the hospital for a short visit. They had a pleasant visit, and as he was leaving, my dad told him I was supposed to come for a visit, but that I would be late, and that there was something very important he needed to do immediately. I remember the funeral, and the whispers about my claims, and how it was all apparently just too much for me. I didn't care what they said. My dad had come to tell me goodbye. Nobody in my family would discuss it with me. They just assumed I had imagined it. But yet they could all agree that the storm that had rolled in that day was most unusual. I no longer fear storms. But many years later, I still look for answers. If my boyfriend had not been late, I would have been at the hospital when my dad passed. As I was unable to make it to the hospital in time to see my dad, did he come to see me? What was it he needed to do, knowing I was going to be late as he had told my uncle? What happens to our loved ones' energy when they depart? Is it possible they send it to their loved ones they deem worthy of carrying it? If that is the case, then surely others have experienced this too. Thank you to Katie for sharing this story. What do you find more strange, the fact that Katie knew her father had passed before the phone call, or that her father knew, as he put it, that she would be late? Have you had any similar experiences when losing a loved one? We encourage you to share your story and thoughts in the comments. Pod People Cast is interested in hearing your paranormal stories as well. If you're interested in sharing them, and hearing them in a future episode, write to us at podpeoplecast22@gmail.com.